In this tutorial, we learn how to add two vectors graphically. Now, in our previous tutorial, we saw how to add two vectors algebraically. For instance, if we have a vector A with components 1, 4, as well as a vector B with components 5, negative 2, then we already know how to add A plus B algebraically. Indeed, for that, all we have to do is add the two horizontal components, so 1 and 5, which would be 6, as well as add the two vertical components, so 4 and negative 2, which would lead to 2. But how do we show that graphically? Well, one of the methods can be explained as follows. We start by drawing the vector A. For that, we can start at any random point, say right here. So to draw A, whose components are 1, 4, we need to move 1 unit to the right and 4 units upward. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the vector A is this blue vector I'm drawing right now. There we go, and I'll just label it vector A. And now we draw vector B. But we don't draw vector B from any random point. Instead, we draw vector B starting at the head of vector A. Now, vector B has components 5, negative 2. So starting from the head of vector A, that's 5 units across, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 units downwards. That's 1, 2. Vector B is therefore this green vector that I'm drawing right now, and that I'll label vector B. Now, the vector A plus B is the vector joining the tail of vector A to the head of vector B, and that's the red vector that I'm drawing right now. This red vector is often called the resultant vector, and I'll go ahead and label it A plus B. Looking at this red vector and seeing how to get from its tail to its head, we can confirm its components are 6, 2. Indeed, to get from the tail to the head, we have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units to the right, and 1, 2 units upwards. Let's look at another example. Say we have to add the two vectors C with components negative 3, 4, and D with components 7, negative 5. Again, the method is the same. We start by drawing the vector C from any random point. Say this point right here. So C has components negative 3, 4, so to draw it, I need to move 3 units to the left, so that's 1, 2, and 3, and 4 units upwards. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So vector C is this blue vector that I'm drawing right now. There we go, and I'll label it vector C. Now I draw the vector D starting from the head of vector C. Vector D has components 7, negative 5, so starting from the head of vector C, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units downwards. Vector D is therefore this green vector that I'm drawing right now, and that I label D. Finally, we can draw the vector C plus D by joining the tail of vector C to the head of vector D, and that's this red vector that I'm drawing now. And I'll label it C plus D. And in fact, we can easily find this vector's components. Indeed, to get from the tail to the head of this red vector, we need to move 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right and 1 unit downwards, which tells us that vector C plus D has components 4, negative 1, which we could of course confirm by adding the two vectors C plus D algebraically. Indeed, we'd have negative 3 plus 7, which equals to 4, and 4 plus negative 5, which equals to negative 1. And there we have it. We've now learned one of the methods for adding two vectors graphically. And that's it for this tutorial.